We have been so enjoying our conversations with the artists who have been visiting Indiana through the Spruce Artists Residency. Hannah Harley is with us again. Good morning, Hannah.
Good morning. Thank you for having us again.
Our pleasure. And we get to meet Felicia Haberman. Felicia Eileen Haberman.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
I'm going to move this because I can't see you over there. There you are. Hey.
Hi.
She is over there. It's not just a disembodied voice on the other end. Good morning. You're from Brooklyn, New York, huh?
I am.
Yeah. Born and raised?
Born and raised on Long Island and quickly moved to the city to get off the island and some excitement.
Yeah.
So I've been in Brooklyn for roughly 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So is there like a big rivalry between all the boroughs there in New York City?
Well, the thing is, if you have friends in other boroughs, it's so difficult to travel. So you have to realize if you have friends in Queens or Manhattan, they're not coming to visit you.
All right. So let's talk about your art. Because you're here in Indiana for the artist residency. How long have you been here?
I've been here for about 2 weeks. I'll be here for another few days.
Yeah. And what kind of art are you pursuing here?
So I am an abstract painter. So what that means is I look at things in the real world and I sort of put my perspective and my lens on them and I abstract them. So stuff that I'm really interested is the very geometric landscape of the city. So I tend to use a lot of squares and rectangles. I'm also really interested in the motion and the vibrancy of the city. So in my work, I try to capture not only the geometric landscape, but the energy of the city as well.
I would guess in New York City, you've got all kinds of different shapes with which to work.
There are. Looking at my studio, I see a lot of buildings. So in my work, automatically I start drawing a square. I think sometimes I even want to draw a circle and my body automatically is drawing the forms that I'm surrounded by.
Your hand needs corners. Corners are very important in your work.
Yeah.
But when you come to a place like Indiana, which is more rural and more tree-lined, what does that change the way that you approach it?
It does. I feel like my work is primarily a product of my environment. And coming here, I had a plan to make something, and then I ended up doing something completely different. I was drawn to a little bit more quieter of a composition. So it's funny, for a whole week I was working on something and then I completely got rid of it. I need to start new. I feel like I wasn't really capturing the quietness of the city. So the pieces that I ended up working on were quite minimal, way more minimal than I'm used to working on. That was definitely a product of Indiana.
See, I can picture non-abstract looking at the comparison between an Indiana and a New York City, and seeing that difference and how it would be a much quieter type of picture and composition-wise. In an abstract form, that interests me because that's something that that doesn't readily come to mind for me. How did it for you?
So I think something that I pick up on when I'm about to make work is my senses. And I feel like my senses here weren't in sensory overload, which they happen to be in the city. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of smells. There's a lot of different see. It's really easy to get overwhelmed. And I found being here, my brain was able to quiet everything because everything was very quiet. It's even very different just walking around the streets during the day or at night, and you don't see a lot of people. And I feel like all of that sort of gets absorbed into my work. So I found that automatically I was reducing my forms, making more minimal, more quiet work.
Well, a couple of hours ago, a guy blew his horn when he drove by. Did you happen to notice that?
That might affect me for my work later. So I think everything affects everything.
Yeah. And the energy level is a different, there we have what we consider to be our crazy energy here. But it's a much calmer energy than probably you are used to at your home.
Right. It was funny. I was talking to this girl who works at the Artist Hand, and she was talking to me about how she loves being here because it's more of a big, busy town. And I was like, well, where did you come from? And she said, I come from a really small town. I don't know the names of the town. I don't remember. Maybe 20 miles from here. And she's like, the closest gas station was a 15-minute drive, and there's one local bar. So it's funny seeing her compare her small town to this, and I'm like a big fish in a little pond here.
Yeah. All right. Well, so you've been doing this. I guess the way I want to put this is in terms of the volume of your output since you've been here compared to at home. Is there a different? Do you put out more here or less there, or how do you?
I've definitely had a more rigorous approach to making art here because my studio is very large. and there's not a ton to do. Which is a kind of a good thing, because it sort of becomes an artist retreat where you realize you're here to make work, and you try to be as strict as possible. So I have definitely been making a lot of work. I've been in the studio a while. And, being in the studio is, it's really interesting as an artist, because you're not always constantly making work, but you're always formulating ideas. So sometimes there's hours in the studio where I'm just staring at some artwork, like waiting for it to talk back to me and tell me what to do. So it's a really personal experience.
Yeah. Hannah, that's really what the Spruce Artists Residency is about, isn't it? It's putting artists in a whole different environment than maybe they're used to, and just giving them the space to do what they want to do, what speaks to them.
Yeah, that's absolutely what we're trying to do, and bringing people like Felicia here to come live and work in Indiana County. That's what we're all about, giving that artist retreat so they can, kind of get away from that overload and come visit Indiana. They've also been doing critiques with some local artists, which has been really wonderful to see those interactions happen. And we're always looking to get more involved with local art, and have local artists, be a part of this exchange as we bring artists in.
Yeah. And it sounds fascinating to me, Felicia, when you describe what you've been doing here, and that relationship with others that you're able to develop, and even other visiting artists. How do you think what you're experiencing here in Indiana over these last few weeks is going to inform you moving forward once you get back home?
That's a really good question. The series that I've been working on here is something I actually began working on in New York, and I found it quite difficult to continue working on such a quiet series because my environment was not quiet. So I'm hoping that I can continue the series that I'm working on in Indiana, back in New York, if I could sort of quiet my mind a little bit more.
Yeah, just come on back.
Yeah.
We could be your booster shot.
You're only a 10-hour bus ride away.
There you go. See? It's all in how you look at it. It's a perspective type of thing. You're an artist. You know what perspective's all about.
Yeah, it's interesting to me. I didn't go away to college, so I kind of enjoy being in a college town where I could go to a bar and get a $2 drink. That's amazing to me.
When you are able to get outside the studio and allow the town to speak to you a little bit, and the shapes that you see around here, and then get back into the studio. I'm assuming you haven't done work outside of the studio since you've been here. Everything's been in studio for you?
Everything has been in the studio. Sometimes I'd go back to the apartment and sort of reflect on some things that I was doing in the studio, some writing, some sketches. But primarily the work is done in the studio. And when I'm outside the studio, I've just been able to enjoy
and observe.
Yeah, definitely observe. It's really quiet here, and that's pretty reflective in the work that I've been making.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see your work. And Hannah, folks are going to get a chance to do that, right?
They are, yeah. Tomorrow, that's Saturday, October 19th. You can see Felicia Eileen Haberman's work along with Jasmine Ye's work at the exhibition entitled Cover. That's 6 to 8 p.m. at the Clark Gallery. That's 637 Philadelphia Street, entrance on Carpenter Avenue. We'd love to see you there. We'll have some refreshments. The artist will be there. I think we might even have a couple dogs roaming around just for fun. Bring your dog, bring your friends. Come on by.
Put some paint on the dog's tail, wag it a little bit. You have a
beautiful art piece. Yeah.
There you go. Well, it's very good to meet you, Felicia. I'm glad you came by.
Thank you. Good to meet you as well.
We appreciate it. Hannah, do we have more lined up? I don't even know.
We don't have more lined up in the next couple weeks, but we've got more we need to line up. Yeah, we've got more coming for the months of November and December.
Very good. Thanks, both of you, for coming in
Thank
today.
you.
We appreciate that. It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS, AM 1160 and 101.1 FM. We are headed toward the top of the hour. And Fox News coming your way then John.